Hi, friends. So, most people think inner child healing really involves some crucial breakthrough moment. One powerful journal entry, or a huge release, or some kind of emotional collapse followed by deep clarity. But real, true, long lasting inner child healing is not an event, it is a relationship. And it's a lifelong process of attuning and learning to attune to the younger versions of ourselves who still live inside our emotional bodies. That little girl who did not get what she needed and learned to survive by shrinking, hiding, performing, or disconnecting, or some variety of that. Today, I'm going to guide you through a very different lens of inner child work, one that is grounded, deep, and truly transformative. Hi, I'm Amy Rose White. I'm an integrative psychotherapist for nearly 2 decades, making videos on self healing tools. So, to begin, again, there's no one single moment where your inner child heals forever, which you may or may not expect. There is no dramatic climax where everything is resolved. Those pieces are ever completely healed. There's not just some enlightenment experience where all of our wounds disappear, but rather, inner child healing is learning to get into the rhythm and constant practice of recognizing when a younger state has taken us over, unblending from that part with compassion, identifying how old she feels, and attuning to her needs in real time while we build a relationship that deepens with her over years, not minutes. It's relational and it's rhythmic, this attunement, and it's ongoing. And that's how we build new internal safety. It's how we become someone that our younger self can trust. Let me show you how. We all have moments where we suddenly feel reactive, very sensitive, totally misunderstood, overwhelmed, abandoned, terrified of making the wrong choice, or desperate for approval. Those are usually child states, little pockets of younger consciousness, basically, that gets activated in the body. One could call them ego states. In the internal family systems world, they're called protective parts. So the adult goes offline for a moment, essentially, and the child takes the wheel. And the key is not to shame her, the key is to notice her or him and to pause and ask, how old do I feel right now? Is there a 4-year-old who feels scared here? A 9-year-old who feels excluded? A 14-year-old who feels not enough? And the moment you ask that question, something really miraculous happens. You unblend from that state. You step out of the collapse and into the role of the compassionate adult. You make space for her without becoming her. And this is the heart of inner child attunement, because the essence of who we are is always bigger, wiser, stronger, and kind, and can take care of these parts. So once you sense that age, touch into their emotional experience. And you don't need perfect clarity, just a felt sense. So ask her, what are you feeling? What frightened you? What do you need right now? Try to get a visual on this part. What didn't you get back then that you still long for? And just listen. Do not rush that part. This means we have to drop what we're doing and stop, ask the questions, and listen for a response. You might have to be there with your body as tears come up. You might have to just stay with the sensation before language and questions make sense or you get a response, and that's fine. But ultimately, we're circling back to those questions to simply listen and say, I understand, I'm here, tell me more. When we're present with all of that information, we offer those parts the most transformative thing, now letting her know that she belongs. So we say internally, I'm here, I hear you, nothing about you is too much. You are allowed to be here with me. I'm not going anywhere. And that is actually how the nervous system begins to melt and the emotional body reorganizes out of that old, young, primitive ego state and into the sense of adult security and safety with our highest self. This is how we become the adult presence that those inner children never had. And now we move into the practices that deepen this ongoing relationship. So, inner child healing work fails when the adult self isn't strong enough to protect her. Your younger parts need to know who is safe in your life and who is not, and that you will not repeat her past by throwing her to the wolves around unsafe, abusive, unavailable people. Now, this is actually the hardest part of inner child healing because it often means we need to invoke our inner adult to make changes in our behaviors. And those often upset the apple cart and require big shifts in our lives. But if we really want to heal, we must be willing to do that for those young parts. So take a moment each day to really ask your adult self, your wisest self, to come forward, the oldest, wisest, clearest part of you. And write down all the people in your life on a regular basis. Go through them one by one. Which category do those folks really fall into? Safe people, those who honor your boundaries, meet your emotional reality, they don't dismiss it, allow you to exist without performing, for example. And who are the unsafe people? Those who minimize, dismiss, manipulate, shame, or make you smaller. Your child states are incredibly sensitive, and they tend to feel the truth first. They know when someone is harmful long before the adult mind catches up. So we want to listen to how our body responds to those people, places, and things, because that can give us clues that we might have been just conditioned to step over and ignore. Next, make a list of the activities, the changes in the boundaries that you will be setting around any of those unsafe people on the list, and how you'll increase your exposure to the safe ones. And then keep that promise. That is so important. So tell her, I'm listening to you now. If someone feels unsafe, I will protect you. I choose who comes close. Protection heals what neglect created. And learning discernment repairs what betrayal has destroyed for the inner child. And that is how we build that trust. That doesn't mean cutting everyone out of your life, but it does mean being very, very careful with who you share things with and how much you share, how much time you spend around someone, what physical contact you have with people in your life, how often you see people, and how long time you spend with them. And I'm talking about friends, colleagues, bosses, and family members. Your next practice is simple, but it's very profound, and that is to create a small daily inner child altar with 1 to 3 photos of yourself as a young child, kind of the ages that you feel come up the most often. Maybe the ages you feel abandoned because you had to grow up too fast. Maybe those ages where you were hurt or invisible. And place them somewhere on this inner child altar where you will see them every day. This is not a decoration. This is a place to honor an ongoing, deepening relationship. So each morning, pause for at least 30 seconds by your altar and simply acknowledge that little one with a good morning, sweetheart. I see you. I'm here. Let your adult self meet her gaze. Look at the eyes. Let your breath soften and your heart open. This ongoing contact builds an emotional pathway between your present self and your younger self. And I promise you, it slowly unwinds years of self-abandonment. And this is how belonging is restored, meaning those inner child parts recognize that they will never be abandoned, neglected, hurt, dismissed, criticized, and abused by you, but they belong in this safe place where they can actually reveal themselves and be their complete, authentic expression. Next is permission to do the forbidden. This is one of my favorites. So the inner child holds the impulses that we were shamed, punished for, or those that were forbidden, like rage, wild creativity, making a mess, noisiness, silliness, having a tantrum, destruction, any kind of expression, chaos, and truth. A huge part of healing is giving her a safe channel to express what she never could. This can be fantasy or reality, depending on what feels appropriate and doable for you. So here are a few practices that you can offer her. Imagining her smashing plates in a junkyard, or going and actually doing that with her. Letting the anger break open, without harming anyone. And I often encourage clients to do it in this way, like go to a thrift store, or if you have something that symbolizes past pain, like dishes that were passed down to you by an abusive grandparent, you might have something tangible like that, but you thought you should hold on to them. These can be great to release these this way, but you can just get, random old plates. And you might write a letter on the plates or on paper and then write it over the plates before you destroy them. I encourage people to do this on a tarp in a relatively private area, sometimes industrial areas, train tracks, dumps can be good spaces where you're not going to be seen or cause a big commotion. You need to wear goggles and a helmet of some kind because those shards do go everywhere. And I have found some people like to use a baseball bat. I found just a random golf club also works well. So this is so empowering and healing because very, very few of us were allowed to be destructive or violent or truly express anger and rage in a way that's that outwardly physical and destructive. And we're not talking about making it worse. We're talking about moving the energy into a complete cycle instead of letting it get stuck. And a lot of those abandoned, hurting, repressed child parts simply have never gotten a chance to do something like that. Some other options. Visualize her scribbling all over the walls, color everywhere, no consequences, pure expression. Giving her permission to scream into a pillow, not to be dramatic, but to release, again, what was frozen in her. You can stomp, shake, dance wildly, let her move in ways that she was never allowed to, and we're setting aside time to make this intentional. You can draw something messy and chaotic, let it be imperfect, unedited, and unpunished. So the point is not really the action itself, it's the permission. You're telling those inner parts, all of you is allowed, and your impulses are not dangerous. Your personal expression isn't wrong. Nothing about you has to stay hidden anymore. This is liberation, this is repair, and ultimately it is reparenting those little ones. So placing a hand on your heart and one on your belly, after you do some of these things, feel the two of you, the adult and the child, inhabiting the same body, the same breath, the same moment, in safety. Inner child work isn't about fixing her. It's about walking with her, befriending her, listening to her, protecting her, and letting her know she never has to go through anything alone again. This is a relationship that's a long-term bond and a sacred internal companionship. If you found this video, please see my trauma healing playlist right here. And I'll see you in the next one.